So our topic for today is all about communication for work purposes. This is part 2, and we already tackled part 1 of communication for work purposes last week. So our main focus for today's lessons are components of communication in a workplace, asking good questions enhances communication, and the environment and communication. So at the end of this module, you are expected to identify the components of communication in a workplace and exhibit rapport in workplace using components of communication. But first, we need to know what are the components of communication in a workplace. First is the individual sending the message. The sender must present the message clearly and with adequate details in order for the receiver to receive meaning with the sender. So napaka-importante po na klaro at kompleto yung mga detalye ng mga mensahe na ating ipaparating sa ating mga audience. No? Number 1, no, yung adequacy, that is number 1 principle of communication. Same goes with the workplace. No? Dapat po it answers the questions of what, when, where, why, who, and how. No? So yung complete details na po so that you can share the meaning, no, together with the receiver of the message. Next is the context of the message, the context for the message. The context of the message delivered by the sender includes nonverbal communication such as body language, gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Yan. So napaka-importante yung mga nonverbal cues natin, like yung ating body language or even our gestures. No? Kasi number 1, that could become also number 1 cases din po sa ating mga workplace. No? Yung mga case like sexual harassment wherein the predator always blames the prey. No? Wherein anong nangyayari po dyan, no, sinasabi nila na ay masyadong flirtatious at parang nagpapakita ng motive. So napaka-importante din po na give the appropriate body language, gesture, facial expressions, and even the tone of voice doon sa mga kinakausap natin. Always remember that they are our co-workers or even our boss, no, na hindi naman natin sila kaano-ano. That's why we need to be direct and also let's skip too much body language and gestures sa pakikipag-usap sa kanila so that they cannot get the wrong idea. Next is the person receiving the message. The receiver must be attentive to the sender in order to avoid misconception. He or she may ask questions for clarity. Let's say, for example, tayo yung sender ng message. No, as a sender of the message, we need to ensure, no, kung ready na bang makinig yung ating mga receiver or yung ating audiences sa ating mga messages, no, just to avoid misunderstanding and even misconception. But as a receiver, for example, we can ask questions lalong-lalo na kung hindi klaro yung mga detalye ng kanyang mensahe, no. So we can ask questions for clarification. Next is the delivery method you choose. The method of delivery should be selected and should vary depending on who the receiver is. It includes verbal communication, instant messages such as email, letters, posters, signs, etc. This will continue to span. So, no, with the aid of technology, talagang nag-expand yan. No? One good example of expansion of this would be yung mga social medias natin. So makikita natin, no, most of the time, there are some details or news, no, na posted or makikita natin through online. No? So dito, kinakailangan nating mamili, no, on what method should we choose, no, to deliver our message. No? Also, no, depending kung sino ba yung ating target population. One good example for this ay yung nowadays, no, since we are fast approaching our national elections in year 2022, no, makikita na natin dyan yung mga contents, no, na kung saan yung mga makikita na natin yung mga supporters ni BBM, supporters ni Lacson, Pacquiao, ni Lenny, no, and others, no, ng mga tatakbo. So makita natin 'yan, no. So in those type of method, no, na ginawa nila, no, they are targeting, no, yung mga tao na may social media. Next is the content of the message. The content of the message should be clear and understandable, and most of all, it should be free from any biases, and when delivered by the sender and perceived by the receiver. So napaka-importante yung walang biases na tinitignan natin. Lalong-lalo na kung number one, kung nag-search tayo kung ano ba talagang halimbawa kung tayo ay nag-search kung ano nga ba talaga ang totoong nangyari noong panahon ng Marcos, di ba? So, ang dapat nating basahin ay yung mga taong nagpo-post ng mga walang biases, no? Halimbawa, no, magulat ka na lang na yung mga binabasa natin is all about pro Marcos, no? Talagang hindi natin makukuha yung totoong yung kabuuang katotohanan ng mga pangyayari noong panahon ng martial law. So dito tinitignan natin yung mga sources natin kung if they are credible enough, no, to give information for us about martial law, for example, diba? So yan, dapat tinitignan din natin kung may mga biases ba yung mga binabasa natin. And those are the components of communication. Next topic is all about asking good questions that enhances the communication. So here are the list of types of good question. We have direct, control, repeat, persistent, summary, and non-pertinent. So first, we have direct. This is in the form of interrogative question. For example, is who are you? Yeah. So we are interrogating someone to give us the true answer, no, or the truthfulness, no, behind our question. So those are the direct type of question. Second one, we have control, knowing the answer to your question but still wanted to ask it to check if someone knows the answer. So most of the time, ginagawa namin ito as a teacher. As a teacher, ginagawa ko most of the time, I ask questions to my students that I already know the answer, but no, I wanted to check if they know the correct answer. So for example, no, in mathematics, no, so for example, the correct answer is 6, but you guys as a student come up with the answer of 12. No? So andyan na yung I will let you prove kung bakit 12 yung naging answer ninyo sa solution number 1, for example, or sa problem number 1. And then dito ko na i-incorporate yung pagtuturo ko or yung correct procedure on how to solve that problem. So that is in control. Next, we have repeat. Repeat is asking two different questions after the same information. So ito yung mga follow-up or mga back-up questions. Like for example, ilang taon ka na? Taga saan ka? No? So main purpose of your question is to get the information further. No? So those are repeat type of good question. Next, we have persistent, asking same questions in a different way to explore all preferred information. For example, where did you go on your vacation to California? So technically, in this type of question, naka-base lang siya sa isang state. Wherein, sa loob ng estado ng California, saan ka pa no, nagpunta? Saang mga tourist spots ng California ka nagpunta as a vacation? Or you can prefer this type of question wherein you question them where else. Or that means, bukod sa California, saan ka pa nag-explore or saan ka pa nag-bakasyon. No? So that is persistent. Next is summary, wherein asking questions that allows revisiting an answer. So ginagawa ko nito as a teacher. For example, no, I have this short quiz wherein true or false ang basis of answers. No? Most of my students answered false, and then I will ask them again. No, is that your final answer, or do you think that is the correct answer? And then you guys, no, are starting to contemplate No, kung tama ba yung sagot ko kasi 50-50% na lang yung chances natin eh, no. So kung hindi false, it's either true, no. That's why no, dito tinitignan ko mostly yung confidence ng bata with their answer. So most of the time when you guys answered false, that is the that is the correct answer. Pero I want you guys to revisit your answer, no, so that you are starting to question even your own answer. So that is summary. Next is non-pertinent, asking a question that does not pertain to the subject you want to know about. Ito yung mga bagay na tinatago natin mostly, no? Na hindi napipigilang minsan tanungin sa atin. No? So one good example for this is, what project did you undertake in the past that failed? So for example, no, isa kang engineering student, no? Tapos isa ka ng ganap na inhinyero, halimbawa. No? Tapos ito isa yung mga tinatanong ng mga most of the time ng mga HR, di ba? Kung ano yung mga failures mo, and what did you learn from that failures or mistakes, di ba? So isa yun sa mga ano. And most of the time, ito yung mga subject or point of our careers wherein we don't want others to know this about. So that is one type of good question. And I think that is the last type of good question. And for the next topic is it all about the environment and the communication. So the environment and the communication, the work environment in which components were used and implied affects the manner of communicating and how communication is being received. No, so dito, kung work environment natin ay talagang they are allow us to speak up for ourselves, or they are giving us to be heard, no, yung ating mga concerns, no, talagang magkakaroon tayo ng confidence, no, to communicate with others in regards with our emotions, our feelings, our stands, no, so on and so forth. But we can trace it back, no, lalong-lalo na in the Philippines, no, since in the Philippines, mapapansin natin kapag first time mo sa job mo or first year of job, no, for example, no, we are hard or we are in a very difficult state, no, to communicate to others, specifically kung alam nating may mali, 'di ba? Kasi most of the time kapag alam na nating may mali, halimbawa, no, sa isang pamilya, kapag alam na nating may problema si nanay at tatay, tapos kausap nila yung lolo't lola natin at mga tito-tita natin, no? Andiyan yung makikisingit tayo, alamin natin kung ano yung totoo, 'di ba? Kung ano bang nangyayari, bakit sila andito, 'di ba? Most of the time as a kid, 'di ba, talagang we are born curious, kaya tatanungin natin sila. Now, ang gagawin ng parents natin is that itataboy nila tayo, 'di ba? Isabihin nila sa atin na usapang matatanda ito, pumunta ka muna sa kwarto mo. So isa 'yung sa mga mga origin, no, most of the time kung bakit hirap tayo makipag-communicate, no, or mostly ganun yung nangyayari sa atin. But if our environment is letting us, no, or allowing us to do so, such as questioning, no, and communicating with higher ups or even with our parents, di ba, talagang mabuboost yung confidence natin to communicate. And that is how the environment affects the communication. And that is all for today's lesson. So once again, thank you so much for attending our session for today. I hope you learned a lot from me today, and I hope to see you again next week. So ingat po sa atin, magpa-vaccine, and bumoto po tayo ng tama sa darating na election. God bless and stay safe.